introduce anything? That one? It's always the same, isn't it? When you're going to try to... Ah, it's the right one. Okay. Hello, everybody. Yes, I'll try to unravel some of the questions and issues we have as an industry, because I think we've been really fantastic over the years getting people connected. First with the wireline, of course, on the phones. So we connected about 1 billion people in a little over 100 years. Then we introduced mobility and we did the mobile connections. And we started about 20 years ago. So now we've connected about 5 billion people on the mobile phone. Now we're coming to the next stage of connectivity, and it's about the network society. It's our way of looking at the world. And if you look at the world, how it looks from connectivity perspective over the last couple of years, it's fantastic to see how brighter it becomes. We've actually surpassed the number of mobile broadband connections now compared to the fixed broadband. It's more than 1 billion connected mobile devices. We believe that there will be 5 billion connections within just a couple of years. And not only that, the whole world, anything that can be connected will be connected. 50 billion connected devices we launched a couple of years ago in Barcelona. It sounded very visionary. I think actually today, everybody in the industry believes that that might even be an understatement. It's not strange to see 50 billion connected devices when we have the digital platforms roll out in the world, when we have the fiber networks enabling this, and the mobile broadband that will enable, of course, the connection between the devices will be the way from a cost perspective to do this. I think you recognize Tahrir Square in Egypt. This is all about social networking. We heard our colleagues from the operators, the CEO panel, speaking about voice connectivity to a large extent, and how good we are in managing our consumers. We segment our consumers down to the nitty-gritty micro-segment, understanding exactly how a prepaid customer actually works. We know how our enterprise customers work. We have postpaid customers. Network society and the social networking is the answer to the voice in the future. Well, actually, it's already here. And the problem with our current way of working is that we are experts in peer-to-peer voice communication. We've introduced a little of SMS. We know everything about it. But you know what? Voice will be for free. Sooner or later, voice will be for free. There's nothing we can do about that. It's just going that way. And we shouldn't be afraid of that. We need to embrace, of course, what does this new way of handling people-to-people communication mean? We need to be as good in understanding how people use Facebook, Twitter, Viber, WhatsApp, Skype, FaceTime, whatever it is, whatever anybody will innovate when it comes to person-to-person communication. We have been the ones who have been dominating this world for 125, 130 years. We need to continue to innovate, of course, in this area and embrace the change. The platform that's enabling it, it's owned by the operators. And we are the ones that, from a vendor perspective, of course, works very, very hard to develop the new technologies. Innovation. I think, at least I get trapped. I'm not saying that I'm Einstein, but I think sometimes we get trapped in the fact that we believe that innovation needs to be something that happens once, and it needs to be somebody who really thinks really, really hard, sitting in some obscure cellar or something, just trying to find out the next killer app. That's not really where innovation happens today. It's much more of a fluid process. It's much more about communities. It's much more about putting together small bits and pieces. It's a mosaic. And trying to get it together where you actually do a killer app every day. It's not enough to invent prepaid and then you ride on that for the next 20 years. It's not enough to invent SMS and ride on that for 15 years. These are, of course, killer apps and are fantastic innovations, and we have, as an industry, benefited tremendously from that. Today, that's not enough. We need to embrace the new innovation that happens in the communities, every day in the flow. And that's, I think, is one of the biggest challenges we have. And if you think about that, what are the enabling factors? Now, number one is mobility, I think. The mobility, the ubiquitous services, of course, the fact that you can be connected anytime, anywhere, any place. You know that for the voice. So that was super important, of course, for proliferation about the voice communication. It's still there, and it's still going to be there also for the future. Second part is the broadband. We need to have more, there seems to be no limit to how much broadband consumers and enterprises can consume. The more we build, the more that platform will be possible to work for. So broadband is the second enabler, and the third one is the cloud. The cloud offers practically unlimited space in storage and in unlimited computing capabilities. But you can also see the cloud as something where a lot of the innovation happens. You can reach, we'll take one application, for instance, a game, Word Feud. I don't know if you've heard, everybody has heard about Angry Birds, but Word Feud is a new one. Well, it's not so new, actually. I think there are probably some 30 million people using it already. The truth is, of course, that that kind of innovation, and you can go on Wiki and see what that is, you can reach practically 1 billion users, and you have it, the world at your oyster, in an oyster, immediately. You can invent a service in a very remote town in north of Sweden, or in Finland, or in Jordan if you want it, and you can have the whole world in your hand. So the cloud, I think, is the third component that whenever we build a new product, whenever we think about how we can support the industry as Ericsson, and in particular, of course, our operators, we try to get it from these three perspectives. We heard very much, I think, in the morning about the first panel, at least for me, was very much about where are the operators going? What are we going to do in 15 years' time? And the second part, it was very much about how important it is to really be able to understand and manage our consumers. The theme along it, though, it was very much about voice and connectivity still. I think that is going to be important, but we need to start to climb that axis there, which typically today has been about voice, text, and connectivity on broadband. Practically, these are the three services that we've been able to offer. And on this part, we have segmented into consumers and enterprises. We've been extremely good in doing the micro-segmentation of the consumers and enterprises underneath, and we've been fantastically good in packaging the voice and the SMS. I don't know how many hundreds of pricing schemes you have and how many micro-segments you all operators have within that part. But that service is changing. The consumers here are becoming communities. It's not one-to-one. It's one-to-many, many-to-many. We are entering into new verticals. We're entering into enterprises where we have to understand that the health segment or the security segment is different from just saying it's an enterprise segment. We really need to thoroughly understand where they create value, what are their true needs. And of course, if we do that, we need to be able to climb the value chain here also to embrace the social networking services, the video services, the gaming services, the vertical services on top. And I think what we find out, if this is nothing, of course, revolutionary, we know that we need to do this, but we cannot stop and wait for the innovation to come. We have, as an industry, to start to really unravel this puzzle and find the sweet spots. And we need to start to really change it into chunks that our consumers can buy. And I believe, and we believe in Ericsson, that if this axis here is the future of the operators, some operators will continue to be integrated, will continue to do kind of like everything. Some operators will be focusing on the connectivity to be the world-class provider of broadband capabilities. So the best network with the best capability. No-frill MVNOs, we think, is another important segment. You can compare that to a internet banking service. It's not about a cheap service at a low price. It's about a simple-to-use service that is very immediate. So not so much the personalization. It's more about the web interfaces, simplifications, etc. Cloud specialists. There's definitely room for anybody who wants to know exactly what you can offer in the cloud and how you can give that to the consumers. And we talked very much in the second part of the debate this morning about the consumer specialists, of course. So Ericsson, we look at this scheme, try to understand where is the value created, what kind of operators will we have in the future, and how do we respond? First of all, we've always been a technology company. We continue to be a technology company. We invest a lot of money and we work very, very hard to have the best performing, most affordable, sustainable mobile broadband platform for the future. This is a tough industry. It's a lot of consolidation. A lot of things have changed over the last 10 years. We heard that also in the morning sessions. You can hardly recognize, the competitive landscapes of today with 10 years ago. It's really changing fast. But we are very committed to continue to do these boxes, and they will continue to perform very well. The second part, so it's only 3 parts practically in our portfolio that we really work hard with. The second part is about the operator processes. How can we, with our scale and our capabilities, help the operators to manage their networks even more efficiently? So if you want to be able to, I'll flick back 2 slides here, a couple of slides. If you want to work in this extremely new complex, because it used to be like 2 times 1, now it's going to be like 4, 5, or 6 times 6, 7, so it's going to be like 42, 50 times more complex. You need focus. We want to try to help the operators to be able to focus on the innovation needed to compete with the other players that are coming in, to be able to extract the value from that value creation, because it's there. We're managing about 800 million consumers globally on the mobile networks. And we are continuing to, of course, be committed to develop better processes and tools and have the global scale. Thirdly, but not least, and maybe this is the most important that we have entered into lastly, it's about transforming the capabilities of the operator's IS/IT platform. Because if you're going to be able to understand that the consumer is now using video, and you need to be able to react very quickly, of course, to say, do you want a better network? Okay? So I want to watch a video, and somebody should say, okay, I see that you are actually trying to watch a video. Would you like your network to work a little better? So we need to be able to identify that consumers are using a special service. We need to be able to gear up the network, and we have to be able to charge it immediately. These kind of flexibilities is something that might seem like a dream, but it's actually becoming a reality. We are able to look into the bit streams in the network to really understand, are you doing peer-to-peer? Are you doing high-performance network requirement services, etc.? And we should embrace these. We need to understand that this is creating a lot of value for the consumer. If we can, as an industry, grab them and tell, you want to use Facebook? You want to use it only for 4 hours? Are you prepared to pay 50 cents? Yes. That's a killer app. Can you imagine you had a phone with a gearbox? You have a button that you can click to get peer-to-peer communication, so I can use my Viber or Skype anywhere. But you actually pay the operator for it because it's value creation for the consumers, and you just have a button. Or your browsing is going a little slowly. You have a gearbox. First, second, third gear. And you know that for the next hour I'm going to pay a little more. But I'm happy to do that. Because the operators are actually embracing my new world. So that's, in the end, the three things we are really trying to develop is a platform that can cater for these new services so that the operators can embrace them and extract value. Ecosystem. I think that's the key thing here. We need to start to think how we create more value together. We need to compete, of course, but in the end, it's actually about creating more value. It's not about protecting. Voice will be zero, okay? Unless you bring real value add. So how do we extract the real value that's out there? How do we embrace the new ecosystems? We're building the platforms, we're helping to run the networks really, really quickly, and we want to build flexibility into IS IT systems. That's what I think we need to do as Ericsson. It's about mobility, it's about broadband, cloud, 50 billion connected devices, 5 billion mobile broadband users. It's just amazing. We just need to grab it. All right. Food for thoughts. Any questions? Very quiet. Microphone? Yeah. Somebody with a microphone? Here.
I am Syed Tawqir Abbas from Mobile. In the morning, there was one comment that Etisalat started its services on mobile and handset were shorter. And then operators, vendors came up and they provided and they fulfilled the supply chain. So in future, how do you see, will it be a technology or services will be driven by vendors, or operators will take initiative and then vendor will complement?
As I said, I think it's an ecosystem. The trick with an ecosystem is that all the parts need to work. If one part is broken, the whole ecosystem dies. From my perspective, depending on what role the operators take, because you won't have one operator in the future, they really need to excel in that part. And I think my job as a vendor is to complement the whole ecosystem. That might be building and innovating on the network. It might be helping you running your network, or it might be helping you, I think, developing the right platform for managing your consumers, depending on where you identify the best value creation in the matrix. So from my perspective, I think the most important job that the operator has is to really understand the matrix. Where is the value creation? Where is the market? You know, it's the cross-section between, of course, available spend in the market and that segment, and which service is the biggest value from the consumer perspective. So I think that's, you know, really, we should be so responsive in being able to realize wherever you realize that the value creation is. Yes? I know I'm almost run out of time, but I'm sure we have at least one more question. Okay, yeah?
Made an interesting comment, which was, you know, we should start charging over-the-top players money for providing connectivity. What do you think about that, and what can telco operators do to avoid becoming dumb pipes?
Yeah, I mean, it's I think the first reaction you get when you get attacked is, how do I prevent the attackers and aggressor to get into my turf? Regulators and operators will do that for a while. You will try to protect the voice services. You will try to protect, of course, peer-to-peer to happen, etc. But inevitably, sooner or later, you won't be able to hinder that. So I don't think you can, come to a simple solution. My view would be that you need to embrace the development and try to understand how we can add value. Then, of course, we need to extract part of the value, because in the end, all the infrastructure that's built and these services are running on is ours. So there are two ways. I mean, you're right. I mean, how do we avoid becoming utility companies where you only charge a monthly fee for the water coming out of the tap? And how can we actually manage to have an intelligent water system that when I take a shower, I get a higher pressure and the right temperature, and I'm happy to pay for it more. And when I actually get the water to boil a kettle of tea or something, the only thing I'm interested in is it's sound to drink. It's a little like, we don't want to be the water companies. We want to be able to actually extract and understand when value is created. So it's much more about embracing and understanding the value creation, segmenting it in different matters, having the platform that can identify the shower and get the high pressure. Identify that you're going to drink the water, you get the mineral water, you get the sparkling water if you want it. These are the things that I think we need to do together. Yeah.
Yes, Jamil Khawaja from NewNet Communication. You talked about innovation, and you are a technology company. So how much your role is in driving the innovation, commercial success of it? And at the end, what is the role of consumer? What works and what does not work? And in the middle, the operator. And they are struggling what the technology creator is creating, what we don't know consumer will accept, not accept, and how do we determine that? So, I mean, in this mix of innovation, creation, and success, how do you see this?
Yeah, it's a company focusing more on the Einstein way of looking at it. So we really sat in our labs trying to innovate the next fantastic communications platform. And we've invented a lot of things, and we have many, many patents on technology. What I can see that what we are doing as a company right now is to try to understand where true innovation is coming, because as the sector matures, the innovation happens in the consumer end. So most of the innovation, of course, happens between communities and all the time. Small companies, being there very, very quickly to see that, this game or this way of communicating, it seems to be really, really fun for people, and they grasp it. Our role is to really steer our machinery, because in the end we produce a lot of technology, a lot of software. Tons of software and tons of hardware to be able to cater for this. Our hardware and software needs nowadays actually to start by thinking, what does the consumer want to do? We can't start with the fact that we have a frequency band and we have a technology limitation, so how do we use it the best? That I think is our struggle. I don't know if I dare, but I'll try to answer from the operator perspective as well. I think the innovation for the operators is really to because you are in the middle, but you need to really innovate in the ecosystems. So how is the value chain now evolving? And where can you kind of like grab in and extract value? I think that's true innovation, and you need to spend a lot of time in analyzing consumer behaviors, analyzing consumer needs, and marrying that with a platform that we will give to you guys to a large extent to really see how you can be the cross connection between the consumers and the technology. It's an interesting question.
Somebody asked in the morning about security, and I know the consumer will want to be secured and protected in the new ecosystem with the creation of mobility, broadband, and cloud. what is Ericsson doing in the area of security, securing the network, protecting the consumer?
From a technology perspective, we're implementing all the protocols, etc., to be able to transport data as securely as possible. Then I think that security for consumers is changing. I think people are less concerned about the what they share public on their private life. It seems acceptable to share things that were not acceptable in the past. And I think that that's something that the applications on top are accommodating. Then you have other security aspects, of course, which is more about the capabilities of the network and all the discussion about, you know, are people feeling safe to use the networks? And there I think the regulators and the governments has a big role to play to make sure that it is accompanied with the development, of course, of the new services so that it's not misused. Because in the end, that will slow down the development of the network society. If people feel that there's a risk by utilizing some services, then that will not, you know, push the development of the that kind of particular nation, if you wish. And there is no doubt. There's so many studies now that the network society and the mobile broadband and the internet, all of that together, the more you get that into a country, so every 10% of penetration of mobile broadband will contribute with something like 1% of GDP growth. And if you can double the speed, you can get an even boost about that. So it might be as much as 0.3% extra GDP growth just by doubling the speed. But that means, of course, that the security, you know, in the end, if you take it from the consumer perspective, you need to feel comfortable that you can embrace that change as well. So it is a complex topic. We are developing, of course, the technology so that you can work with it. But to a large extent, I think it's the regulators that need to really work hard to make sure that it feels transparent. Yep. I have a bright light in my eyes, if you didn't know that, but so I can't really see anybody. But any more questions?
So, is that a trend that Ericsson is seeing coming, or it's just an experimental trial?
I don't think I got the question. Can you repeat, please?
Actually, I've come across an article from Ericsson that is talking about using machine learning techniques to handle the amount of data, the big amount of data.
So machine
learning. Machine learning.
Machine learning. Okay, any other questions? All right, thank you very much.